Good idea to sit in lawn chairs and contemplate the past because of all the lessons that we have learned over this last Virgo season and over the whole entire period that the South Node has been in Virgo. We have a solar eclipse new moon happening on September 21st at the final degree of Virgo. The final degree is the 29th degree of mastery, of culmination, of we learned all the lessons, and we're at the most evolved Virgo point. Now, I do want to acknowledge that September 21st was Anne Burrell's birthday, and it's very, very sad that she passed down the line to heaven in June of this year. It's very, very saddening for a lot of people, and I'm sure that she will definitely be greatly missed and is greatly missed. So I just want to throw that in there. Um, and so when we have this solar eclipse happening, we have all the Virgo themes being activated, create major new beginnings. And those new beginnings and the themes of Virgo I'm going to be discussing in this video. But before we get to the eclipse, I want to talk about the Sun opposing Saturn. This video, by the way, is for the astrology for the week of September 21st through the 27th, 2025. So, talking about September 21st and the astrology of Sunday on this day, the very, very first aspect that we have going on is the Sun opposing Saturn. Now, this happens once every year when the Sun in Virgo is opposite Saturn in Pisces at 28 degrees. On September 21st, this is an aspect that is exact on this particular day. And so Saturn's moving retrograde at 28 degrees of Pisces because it dipped into Pisces September 1st. It's going to be here until February 2026 when it moves into Aries full time. And so this is the last gasp of Saturn in Pisces for another 29 years. So, um, the Sun opposite Saturn. Saturn is the taskmaster. Saturn is the difficult, malefic planet that demands that you show up, that you do the work, that you take responsibility. And so the Sun illuminates whatever planet is it is an aspect with. So it is illuminating the shadow sides of Saturn. So we're in the negatives now with this aspect. So we could feel very restricted, very confined, very debilitated towards the infrastructures of the macrostructures. We could feel very restricted, very held back, very limited to express ourselves, to live a life that is inauthentic to our hearts and soul. Um, Saturn energy demands that you follow the rules that you do it expects. Now, personally, I am willing to be a sacred rebel, but I am not willing to be a sacred rebel in the sense of not being a sacred rebel, but rebelling in very destructive ways that could end me in jail. I really, really do not want to end up in jail because my fear of boredom is so high that that is the last thing that I want to have happen in my life. So that is crossed out, and there will be no rebelliousness there. But there's certain things in life that I am definitely willing to be a sacred rebel to, um, and plus my whole comfort zone is thrown off when going in jail. Um, But there are certain things that I will be rebelling against in my life if I can find them to be fit. And so this is about bursting out of our cage, really using this energy to be a sacred rebel. Um, and I can't recommend Alana Fairchild's Sacred Rebel deck enough to people. But so anyway, getting back to this transit. Saturn, hard aspects to Saturn could leave us feeling very down, very numbing, very depressed kind of feeling very negative and pessimistic about life, or pessimism step lines are sort of on the juxtaposition of what would be happy and joyous, but now it's dark and gloomy. So we could feel very pessimistic. We could see the glass half empty instead of half full. We could, this transit we could find ourselves, and we have to be aware of finding ourselves expecting the worst. Instead of expecting the worst of situations, of always having to be in reality, and face hard truths and face the negativity, expect the best. Expect, have optimism, have a positive outlook on life, and see the potentials of things as opposed to getting caught in that pessimism. Um, and so there is this need for togetherness. There's this need for relationships. However, you could find yourself in a situation where other people around you need separation, don't want the close companionship. And so forming healthy companionship with those who want companionship is really advised, because the worst thing that you can be is completely isolated and feeling alone and feeling like you don't have anyone to open up to and connect to, no one that you can share a breath with or share a conversation with or agree with or have a very, very healthy connection with. This is the point where you want to form connections with others so that you don't feel so isolated and so alone. Um, there could be these struggles with authority figures in your life that could come about. These struggles could get eliminated under this transit, especially with your father or your boss or your governor or whatever people in power, the principal of the academy, whatever and whoever it is. Um, You could find that you just feel like people around you are being very critical of you, very judgmental of you, finding every little thing to nitpick and criticize at. And they're being very harsh towards you. That could be a feeling that's on the table. Um, so if you feel that way, I would advise for you to understand why they are making those judgments in the first place and what are their intentions behind the judgments. Is it to hurt you, or is it in a caring and loving way? Instead of being so reactive, which we can get very, very reactive and offended so easily, understand why that person says that and understand their reasoning for that. And it's very, very important to have compassion in that kind of way with others. To not take things so, so, so seriously, so, so, so personally. So this is about being determined and steadfast in achieving goals. Because this Saturn can be like put the structure in the buckler. Be very devoted towards your goals, giving it all that you got and putting in 100% of effort. Now there could be some limitations in your life, which could be very daunting limitations. But we need to see any limitation that we feel in life as points of growth and points of understanding. It's very important, as I've said before, to connect with people, to form relationships with others, to form relationships with certain people who will lend a listening ear to you, who will not be judgmental or so harsh or critical towards you, but who will genuinely be open to listen to you. Um, This is about doing even the smallest tasks that make you feel enriched in life. So these tasks can be the smallest task. It could be taking out the trash. It could be making dinner. Whatever the task may be, even if it's a small task, do what brings you that soul enrichment. Um, and if you have something that frustrates you, don't spend your time and energy around that which drains you, which frustrates you. Have healthy boundaries and step back and walk out of the room, no matter what the situation is walk out of the room. If something is pulling down your energy, if something is frustrating you to a ticket to moon one, walk away. Do not get enmeshed in the drama. And don't get so caught into the negativity, caught into the drama. Instead, move on to what brings you peace, what raises your vibration, what makes you feel a sense of contentment and a sense of meaning about life. That's really advised here. Now, the big the big event happening on September 21st is the new moon solar eclipse in Virgo, happening at 29 degrees of Virgo. So if you have any planets, points, or angles between 27 to 29 degrees of Virgo, or any other mutable sign, Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, you will most strongly feel this eclipse in your chart. So, what is Virgo energy? This eclipse is super profound, first of all, because it is a south node eclipse. So the moon is closest to the south node. So as much as this solar eclipse is always full of new moons, as much as this is a major new beginning, we're setting our seeds of intention. We're not just setting our seeds of intention for a short amount of time. We're talking a long period of time that we're setting our seeds of intention. And you can absolutely do that and manifest things at the solar eclipse period that will carry you for a long time, that will be long-term new beginnings. And so solar eclipses are big, major new beginnings on steroids, more than any other, new moon. So that's what we have to know about solar eclipses. So Virgo energy is about work. It is about your relationship with your coworkers, your daily work, your daily routines, your health. That's all sixth house arena. That's all Virgo is areas. So these subject matters will be really important during this eclipse. And we're setting new intentions. We're initiating new beginnings when it comes to details, when it comes to these daily routines, when it comes to these abdominals of what can be very special in the Spetsy potions. So these details that we're setting our intentions on are very important. Now, we also need to have a healthy sense of discernment. That's one of the really, really high words of the Virgo traits is discernment. Having discernment, knowing what is good for your energy, what is not good for your energy, what serves you, what doesn't serve you. Having healthy discrimination, being particular in a healthy way. And so we want to look at our flaws, look at where we can improve. And, I was watching an astrologer a while back talking about how perfectionism can be a good thing. And the term I think that he was failing to mention was self-improvement. And so that is, there's a difference between perfectionism and self-improvement. And so self-improvement is what I am talking about in this video. So where can you improve? How can you become better? Because Virgo is always seeking to become better because it's so humble. It always seeks, what is my potential to become in this lifetime? You can feel like you are enough and improve at the same time. It is possible. It is both and it's not either or. So this is all about having plans and then surrendering and trusting the universe at the same time. So you have what you want to manifest in your life, but you're trusting the divine to lead you to the potions and lotions. Virgo wants to create order. It wants to organize the mess. It wants to create order out of chaos. It wants to perfect and sharpen your skills. Become very detail oriented at a very expert level because Virgo wants things the best that they can be. At really, sharpening your knife, sharpening your knowledge on something. That's really huge. And so Virgo really is an energy all about finding the beauty in the imperfections in life. What are those imperfections and where can you find the beauty in those things? And having self-compassion for yourself. And, we live in a perfectly imperfect world. aka a perfect world. The world is just perfect the way it is. It doesn't need to be more perfect. And so perfect could mean perfectly imperfect. So there's beauty in the imperfections. And if everything were perfect, it would be very boring. It would be a setting on the dryer. So it's good that there are these imperfections in life, and we need to have self-compassion for ourselves, not beating ourselves up and being so negative and being so hard on ourselves. Having self-love and holding space for love and grace and compassion for ourselves is really what Pisces, the opposite sign to Virgo, and the sign that the North Node is in, is really trying us to move toward. So, with Virgo energy, there is a very, very strong desire to serve, to make a difference in one's individual life and individual's experience. How can I help you? How can I serve you? How can I improve your life? So, as I've said before, people with planets between 27 to 29 of the mutable signs will most strongly feel this eclipse. So, this eclipse presents us with major new beginnings that will be set for the next 6 months. That's how long the eclipse window lasts. Um, we must let go of something in some way because it's a South Node eclipse. We're spotlighting our work and health pursuits. That's the big focus. The big focus is creating better daily routines for ourselves that serve our growth. This is about becoming very, very serious and doing the work that we need to do. Really getting down to do the work. A card from Kyle Gray's Angel Guide Oracle is do the work, and it's actually one of my favorite cards in the deck. Because Virgo demands that we roll up our sleeves, put our big girl panties on, and do the work. So we need to acknowledge even the little things that we accomplish, even the smallest things like I made a banana bread that tasted really good today, or I helped somebody out today, or or I managed to get through a chapter in my book today, writing a chapter in my book. Like these little things, we must not take for granted the little accomplishments. They don't have to be these big, massive things. They can be small and they can be minor, but these small accomplishments add up to something bigger, to something broader, to a bigger accomplishment. So Virgo's about getting done what we need to get done, checking things off our to-do list. Um, and so we need to also keep in mind, really evaluate what are our habits, and are our habits serving us or hindering us from being our most highest version of ourselves. And so we need to create healthier and better habits for ourselves. There's also a need here to jump on impulse, but weigh out our decisions and options before taking action. That is very, very important for us in our lives, is to weigh out the things, the options, the thoughts before taking action. This is all about acting from a place of healthy self-confidence. That is really, really important. This eclipse can serve as the beginning and the ending at the same time, clearing out the clutter, clearing out what no longer serves you in your life. Um, and so this can also be about service. Service, beauty, and wholeness is very important. Igniting our feel larger than life, a shift in our common path is what this presents us with. We need to also become very self-aware during these eclipses, be very, very aware at that level. The 29th degree, as I mentioned before, is the degree of completion and mastery. We're clearing generational wounds. We're clearing any of our wounds. Maybe it's unworthiness, feeling like we're not worthy. Maybe fearful pattern wounds, wounds over perfectionism. People have criticized you, telling you that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy enough. All that negative conditioning we need to release now. And the notion that we earn our worth through our serving actions to others is what we need to release at this time. Love for ourselves and love for others is the only answer. We need to flow with life in its rhythm. Our human experiences is abundant with so much and so many things. And we need to make changes that is necessary to our soul growth. We need to make those necessary changes that will serve our soul. Omnipotence, omnidividends, the kind of thing that makes the peanut butter melt the jelly. Now, the aspect that happens with this solar eclipse is we have the moon in Virgo at 29 degrees, opposite Saturn at 28 degrees. This is not exact, but it's close enough to where it's in opposition. The moon opposite Saturn can bring about delays and disappointments. That kind of thing can come up. We could feel bored, tired, sick, or sad. Just melancholy, feeling down in the dumps, feeling very in sorrow, and just in a kind of glum, negative mood. We could feel crabby at this time. We could feel um, very critical, in a very critical mood, very um, self-critical, critical of others. We're feeling very strict or grumpy. This can also put a focus and emphasis on pessimism, feeling very pessimistic. And so we need to allow ourselves at this time to be alone in reflection, to go and replenish our energy. It's okay to take time out for yourself to do the self-care things and recharging your batteries. And that's what we have to focus on during this time. Going along with our habits and our daily routines, which is Virgo. And so this could present us with very heavy and serious rules in our life. We need to it is a good idea to spend some time away from others. Again, uh, fill up your cup, replenish your energy, and don't take depressing thoughts so seriously at this time. It doesn't have to be so incredibly, boom, boom, kerplunk kind of thing. And see the positives in situations. Don't take these thoughts um, so to heart. Now, September 22nd is a really, really big day astrologically because Mars changes signs and it's moving out of its sign. Um, it's moving into one of its home signs. Scorpio is ruled by Mars and Pluto. So Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio, the original ruler. And so Mars and Scorpio, this energy, if you were born with Mars and Scorpio, there is an innate understanding and belief that life is not fair. And you believe that when life is not fair, you fight back, you prove yourself, you give it all you got, um, and you don't just stand by and just accept the reality that you don't want to face, but you stand up to that unfairness, look it in the face, and really make it fair for you. So that Mars and Scorpio can be um, very focused and determined on its goals. Now, Mars will be in Scorpio until November 4th, so we have a little bit over a month to work with this energy. So Mars in Scorpio gives us an energy of being very passionate, being very determined when it comes to achieving our goals, and devotion to our work. Now, Mars in Libra weighed out all the options and all the opinions when it was moving through Libra, but now in Scorpio, we are very decisive. We know what we want. We want to take action on that. We're not willy-nilly beating around the bush, deciding on all these options. We're very decisive on what we want. Um, this is a time to really go all into what is important and what truly matters in you. This is the universe saying, giving you green lights to go ahead and plunge into what you're passionate about. Um, you may be very obsessive with what you want. When it comes to achieving your desires, you may feel very disciplined. When it comes to going after your desires, it's something very very huge at this time. Um, because Scorpio, one of the traits can actually be surprisingly disciplined, committed, willful, focused, and determined. And so it's a good idea to defend your values, defend the important issues and people in your life. Being defensive at this time could be a more positive thing. Mars in Scorpio is really all about acting on instincts. It's maybe hard for you to let something go. Scorpio is the fixed water sign. It holds on to those grudges, to those people that it doesn't forgive. To when you wound a Scorpio, they will never forget it. And they will never probably even forgive it. Um, Scorpio holds on emotionally to things, and it is and it's so funny because I knew somebody who was a Scorpio whose last name was surprisingly and very fittingly, I should say, Dredge. And Scorpio is a dredging energy, and I just find that so uncanny that this person's last name was Dredge and that this person was a Scorpio, because what a Scorpio does, it wants to bring stuff up for healing. It wants to look at things in the face and dig deep and get to the truth of things, and it doesn't let things go. It holds on. It can be even so that it's beating a dead horse. And I knew somebody who had Mars opposite Lilith in his natal chart, Lilith being in Scorpio, Mars being in Taurus, who was a Taurus. That I've known this person for many years, for a long time, and Taurus is another fixed sign that holds on to things. It's probably the most stubborn and the most attached of all of the fixed signs out there. And so this person hold on and constantly, getting in there and digging into, you know, to issues that need to be talking about it and talking about it fully, getting it, right to the root core of it. And so that's the Scorpio quality. So, Mars in Scorpio really encourages you now to merge with others, to merge with others and take charge of your life, be in the driver's seat of your life. You crave emotional depth at this time, emotionally fulfilling conversations. You want to be around those who are very inspiring, who are very assertive of themselves and their energy. This is an intense energy. You feel very passionate. You feel absolutely very passionate um, at this time. You want to speak from your heart and be open to achieving your desires. It's very important. Now, an aspect that is in astrology that is a less popular aspect but is still important is what is known as a planet and another planet being at the great eliminator angle or being in conjunct or quincunx. That Mars is now quincunx Neptune, Neptune moving retrograde at um at I think 1 or 0 degree of Aries, the very beginning of Aries. So Mars quincunx Neptune. Neptune's at 0 degrees of Aries moving retrograde now. It'll back up into Pisces October 22nd. So Mars quincunx Neptune. Neptune is, and Mars, I should talk about, is the gas in our fuel tank. It is the energy. It is the drive that we need. And Neptune is illusions, confusion, separation, merging, deception. So, Mars quincunx Neptune, and quincunxes are one of the more difficult aspects in astrology. So you may see things a certain way at a certain time. You may have a perception of something, And lo and behold, it goes in the opposite direction. Lo and behold, you see it differently a minute later, a moment later. The thing that you thought was one way is actually a very, very different way. That's what this energy can boil down to. Um, and so your intuition is not clear. It's very, very hard to connect to your inner wisdom, connect to your higher self, because it's distorted with your doubts and your egoic fears. And so, one of the lessons of, say, Saturn in Cancer, for example, my Saturn is in Cancer, one of my life lessons is to discern by what is fear and what is intuition. That is um, one of my work to master at this lifetime. And so we need to, what it may be hard to see through the fog of our fears and doubts and the illusions and seeing things objectively for what they truly are. I'm getting into intuitive hits based off of that. So we could also find ourselves feeling a very, very strong temptation to retreat into fantasy, to escape reality. This could be doing drugs and alcohol, but this could be playing video games. This could be watching movies, constantly binge watching Netflix. Reading fiction books is a more healthy route to escape our situations. But just escaping reality, this urge to escape reality, which could lead to self-destruction. So where it can be self-destructive, we need to be very, very mindful and aware of that. It's confusion, it's an energy that could boil up at this time. We could have actions leading to results, but others might not understand our actions and why we act the way we do. We could find that we have escapist tendencies. That's something very important. Now, what this transit is good for is art, really producing art, especially if it's physically producing art, physically painting, physically creating a sculpture, the martial arts. We have the Mars energy going on here, charity, giving back, selfless service. Um, we could be really being aware of very sharp intuitive insights. And we need to perform actions that are compassionate actions. Now, September 23rd, the next day after this, we have the Sun opposing Neptune. The Sun is at 1 degree the Sun is at the very, very beginning of Libra, opposite Neptune in Aries. The Sun opposite Neptune. This is a hard aspect. So, this is good for developing your creative and spiritual nature. It's certainly we're very good for that. But we need to take precautions to avoid loss and disappointment in our life. We need to be very, very discerning and aware of those who sell us things, to those who sell us their products and all those kinds of things. So, who is selling you things that are true and authentic, and who is selling you false things for very critically at this time. You need to learn to say no to things, to put up healthy boundaries, to not say yes to everyone during this transit, to not be a people pleaser, to say no to the things that you know in your heart are not going to work out for you in your life, that are not going to serve you in your life. Um, it's not good for signing contracts. Um, so, um, so avoid that at this time. And so you're more likely to fall into addictive patterns at this time. Confusion is in the air. It may be hard to assert yourself at this time. So that could be very, very strongly because your willful power is demuted. It's very important to have healthy boundaries, maintain and uphold those. You may have empathy and understanding. We're seeing the world through a more compassionate lens. That's good aspect of this energy. And it's good to avoid making significant commitments and decisions in relationships because you might not be clear. The details might not be clear, so you want to wait till after the aspect passes to do that. And reflect on what truly matters to you. Very, very important this time. Now, Mars will also quincunx Uranus. So this quincunx between Mars and Uranus, the Great Awakener, the Great Shaker Up, or the Maverick energy. Mars quincunx Uranus, and we could really, really crave a new environment and a new setting, new energy, change, all these kind of things. A change needs to be made at this time. This is about embracing a larger understanding of the world around you. So that is really, really big to consider at this time. You may be confronted with revolutionary concepts, now very carefully and steadfastly. Um, so that may be really, really huge. Adjusting to suppresses may which help you or hinder you when it comes to pursuing your goals. Energy and unexpected changes could be a big theme here. When Mars and Uranus get together, they create instability. They're both wild planets. They're both loud and action-oriented planets. Um, so they want to take bold actions, but they're met by unexpected surprises. There's unconventional thinking here. Projects get fresh energy at this time. Now, the Sun is also going to trine Uranus on this day. So this is more positive, where we're expressing our creative and our unique self. We're making the necessary changes that we need to make in our life. Anything relating to technology, science, astrology, and other occult topics is good to invest in at this time. This is good for meeting people and being open for relationships with people from different cultural backgrounds than your own. This could be intelligence and creativity working out for you at this time. This is good for innovative and original thinking. That's very, very big at this time. Um, Thinking outside the box, topics blending science and spirituality is really, really important. So these two topics coming to the forefront and becoming very deeply involved in groups is huge. Now, September 24th, the sun will trine Pluto. Pluto is destruction, it is power, it is transformation. And so it's the sun trine Pluto now. We're deeply influenced by those around us. That is really huge, profoundly influenced. Now, any intense experience, any crisis, any experience that is transforming and evolving and crisis oriented will be looked at. Um, so this could be you having very, very difficult relationships with authority figures and those around you when it comes to your relationships with them. Um, there could be conflicts with those people. Or work advancements. Now, it's very, very good to eliminate anything that doesn't serve you. Clear the clutter from your environment. Get rid of the muck and the mess and the dirt and the excess of what you don't need. It's also good for putting yourself in positions of leadership at this time, especially at work, because you can really lead the team to victory. This is good for studying mysterious, challenging fields. This is good for deeper self-awareness and shadow work. This is good for making a lasting impression on others. Um, and you want to really be your best sense of self. Being your best sense of self requires honesty and bravery, which could lead to greater self-acceptance and empowerment. Now, Mars is going to square Pluto. Mars is going to square Pluto. It's the final aspect going on. So there is a need here to be in total control of others in situations that could lead to conflict. You strive for harmony among relationships now. This is not good for fighting and making enemies in your life. Make the spetzel with the pork, basically. Um, you may have others in your life that are not enhancing your ambitions. You're going to go out there and achieve your goals. You may perceive people that are in your way, that get in the way of getting what you want and need as a threat. Go through their customs, be open, be receptive. Know that they are meant to be there as part of your journey to get to that thing. And um, be aware of the risks that you take. Make sure those risks are not destructive risks. Make sure those risks are calculated that will bring you rewards and good results that will not be destructive and negative. So, that is your astrology for the week of September 21st through 27th. I will be back in next week's video to talk about the astrology for next week, the week of September 28th through the 4th of October, I believe. Um, yeah, through the 4th of October. So, and my next video will be about Mercury in the zodiac sign of Pisces in the birth chart. So if you're into that video, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss those future upload videos from me. I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.